What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Character Profiles. This week it's the much anticipated Jaden Yuki. So first up, this guy's name is Jaden Yuki in the English. In the Japanese he's known as Yuki Judai. He's 15 years old at the start of the series, and his anime debut was in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Episode 1, The Next King of Games. Jaden has played a lot of duels. He's probably one of the characters with the most amount of duels under his belt compared to everyone else in the series, but here is his duel score. So there you go, take it all in. So a quick gist on the character. Jaden Yuki is the main protagonist from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. He was the reincarnation of someone known as the Supreme King, and at the end of the third season he had fused his very soul with Yugioh using super polymerization, which purged her soul from the light of destruction. Yugioh was his favourite card as a child. Jaden is very headstrong, fun-loving, and a talented duelist who loves dueling more than anything. He attended Duel Academy and was put in the Slifer Red Dorm. This dorm had the least amount of privileges, and this was due to the fact that he had such poor grades in his entrance exam. As time goes on, he becomes the Academy's best duelist and saves the world and the Academy from many threats. And, despite his skill, he refuses to move up to the higher dorms. After 3 years, he graduates from Duel Academy and pursues his own journey to improve himself. The word Judai means teenager, while Yuki has multiple meanings, the most common being courage. Thus his name could mean courageous teenager. His English name means gift from God. Jaden is the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist to have his first name changed in the dub. He's also the only protagonist whose given name does not contain Yu. Instead, his surname contains it. Jaden's character design was overseen by Kenichi Hara. Jaden wears the standard Slifer Red uniform unbuttoned with a black shirt underneath. In Season 4, the normal Slifer Red white pants were replaced by dark jeans. In the first episode, he is seen wearing a high school uniform very similar to the one worn by Yugi Moto, though it's coloured black instead of blue. In the 4th season, Jaden is seen with his new look. He comes back with longer hair, a longer, darker Slifer Red jacket, darker pants, and since he fused his soul with Yugioh, occasionally his eyes glowed the same bichromatic scheme Yugioh's did when he used her power. Also, his duel disc was now fully customised and had red outlines on it, making it look badass. In the dub, Jaden had several catchphrases associated with him. He begins almost every duel with the phrase, "Get your game on," and ends almost every duel he wins by saying, "That's game." In the Japanese version, he says, "Gotcha, that was a fun duel." He also often says some variations of, "I'll throw down a face down," when setting cards. In the Japanese version, Judai sometimes says, "Is that so?" when he's about to turn the tables and win the duel. In both the English and Japanese versions, Jaden will wink and point 2 fingers at a defeated opponent. So it should be obvious, but Jaden loves dueling and believes that all problems can ultimately be solved through it. He keeps going no matter how hard things get or how hopeless it seems, with a few exceptions. Despite his low grades, he is still regarded as one of Duel Academy's best duelists. However, this attitude eventually shows itself as one of his greatest flaws, and causes him to be targeted by Mr. Stein. He shows a lack of knowledge in areas outside of dueling, even showing in one instance that he is unaware of what the term fiancé means, and forgetting that the holographic war tower will not drown him. Silly Jaden. His carefree attitude and lack of thought get him into trouble occasionally, such as when he handed the satellite keys to Sartorius and still expected him to duel him before using them. Which, to be fair, who could blame him, because normally in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe, people always settle things with duels. This is like one of the first times someone's actually took the initiative and was like, haha, I'm not really going to duel you, I'm just going to do something. So, yeah, fair play. Jaden is fiercely loyal to his friends, which often results in him risking his life to save them. This is ultimately exploited by Yugioh and Bron, who drive him to the brink of despair via the elimination of his loved ones, which weakens him enough to be possessed by the spirit of his past life. After being freed from the influence of the Supreme King, Jaden shows many signs of depression and constantly asks himself where he went wrong. His resolve is stirred by the arrival of Bastion Misawa, who reveals that Yugioh is responsible for everything that transpired. Wanting revenge, Jaden moves on to defeat Yugioh. After his ordeal in Season 3, Jaden develops a much more cynical outlook on life and is far more serious. He finds himself unable to enjoy dueling and attempts to end his duels as quickly as possible. He begins to recover his love of dueling during the duel against Yugi. Jaden has an incredible look of the draw. as demonstrated when he went on a 10-day streak of drawing the golden eggwidge correctly. Jaden has had an ability called the Gentle Darkness inside his soul, which gives him the power to see and hear dual monster spirits and control them. This is the main power that is used by the Supreme King, and in the 4th season, Jaden can use it to materialize dual monsters and their powers. After the events of the Dimension World arc, Jaden now has the power of Yugioh inside him. When he materializes his dual monsters, he can make them even stronger. Yugioh's power also allows him to sense people's thoughts and emotions, see visions of the future, and protect himself from other supernatural powers. As a child, Jaden loved dual monsters. His favourite card was Yugioh, which was a gift from his father. Both his parents were rarely at home as they were very busy working. As a result, Jaden spent many of his days playing dual monsters with neighbourhood children. However, whenever Jaden played Yugioh, something horrible would happen to his opponents. One of them fell into a coma. After that incident, no one wished to duel Jaden anymore, as they feared for their safety. Around this time, Jaden entered a card design contest held by Kybercorp and won with his monster designs, which included the Neo-Spacians and Dandelion. As part of the project, the cards he designed were launched into space, with the hopes that the cards would be imbued with space waves. Jaden requested that his Yugioh card be sent up in a separate capsule, in the hopes that the space waves would pacify the malicious spirit of the card. Soon after, Jaden began having nightmares where he could see Yugioh burning in flames. Worried, his parents arranged for him to have a medical procedure performed on him, which rendered his memories of Yugioh dormant. That's pretty dark. So, Jaden uses Elemental Hero deck, which focuses on warrior-type monsters themed after superheroes. So far, he has been featured in the most duels out of all characters in the Yugioh series. The majority of Jaden's Elemental Hero monsters lack power, but he supports them with a variety of spell and trap cards to unleash their effectiveness. Jaden relies very largely on fusion, as almost all the elemental heroes introduced in the anime can fuse with each other, giving Jaden's deck many options in almost any situation. He further relies on recycling polymerization to his hand and reviving or retrieving elemental hero monsters from the graveyard. Jaden's trademark elemental hero is Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, which can be further fused into Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman. In his second year, with the inability to use his old hero deck, Jaden received a new one that included the Neo-Spacian cards. The highlight of Jaden's new deck is his Elemental Hero Neos, which can initiate contact fusion with the Neo-Spacians to summon fusion monsters without the need for polymerization. Jaden also includes support for the Neo-Spacians and Neos such as Neo-Space to prevent his new fusions from being returned to the fusion deck. He later combines this deck with his old deck to create a new one. And finally, while under the control of the Supreme King, Jaden used an Evil Hero deck, consisting of more powerful, sinister, fiend-type incarnations of his trademark heroes. He summoned them through the usage of Dark Fusion. His Evil Hero deck relies on the brute force supplied by his monsters, which are immune to spell and trap cards when summoned by Dark Fusion. Jaden also uses Super Polymerization to use his opponent's monsters as fusion materials. And with that, guys, that's another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Character Profiles done. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Who would you like to see next time? We've only got like 3 or 2 more main characters left to do, so would you like to see any of them one of the days? But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and catch you later.